Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode Episode 3. Today we are here in Bahrain. I quite like this track, actually. I've always had a soft spot for Bahrain. I don't know, I've always been moderately quick, but it's just a fun track and I enjoy driving it. So we decided to muck around and have a look through all of the R&D and facilities and bits and pieces because we hadn't quite done that before. And because we spent a bit of time in Australia doing practice, which I didn't show on camera, we've got just over 2,500 resource points to spend. And I obviously made the point in the introduction that we know the power unit's pretty decent, durability is also very good, so the car just needs some aero and chassis focus, which is what we're looking at doing here. And we go with the rear wing main plane, 575 points to develop that, 37% failure chance, so we might see that fail. There's a very high possibility that that's going to fail, but we could only do one aero upgrade, which was disappointing. But because we're doing a major upgrade here to the monocoque structure, I believe is what that is, we can go ahead and do some other minor upgrades, which we go with the rear floor under tray distribution. So just in general, we're helping weight distribution, weight reduction, and a bit of aero on the front wing because we had a bit on the rear. Oh, sorry, other way around. We're doing a bit to the rear because we had some on the front. So hopefully we can get a bit more balance in the car, though it has already felt pretty good so far. But here we're able to select a second sponsor, and all we have to do is complete a race with no DNF across the team. Should be pretty simple. I'm sure within the time period that contract exists, we should get through it without any issue. And we just go ahead and upgrade the livery to add that sponsor, making it look nice and pretty. But jumping straight into practice with the beautiful circuit. I'm not sure why they leave the lights on in this game, even though it's daytime. I don't know if it's just the texture of those lights, they haven't modeled the inside of it, but it looks like they're on, and they shouldn't be. And I miss the days where we used to drive this track during the day. I think it's quite a pretty circuit. You know, there's not much around, so you feel like you're in a little utopia. It's its own little thing, isolated from the world. There's not really any buildings or any landmarks all around it, so I enjoy racing it throughout the day, but it is what it is. And we jump in now to track acclimatization, which again, we've had to come to lap 3 to get a purple for. It's just I don't know, it's... Some of the gates are just not in spots that I would normally drive. Most notably, less so on this circuit. It's pretty good. The racing line kind of makes sense, but coming around to the next corner, or the next sequence of corners when it's the downhill, it's almost a hairpin. I like to call it. It feels like a hairpin. Just locking that inside front, it's really easy to run wide, miss a gate, or to get it wrong. And we didn't do that on the previous laps. We just didn't quite get the speed up and get those purple gates. Not crushing it as much as we did in Australia. We do have a very decent mix of purple and green, but you know, it's serviceable, and we will come across and get the purple resource points. Of course, going ahead and doing plenty more practice off camera though. So we're making sure to get those resource points up, especially early in the season. I want to get to a point that we're, you know, competing with the upper midfield. Now, we haven't changed the AI. We haven't changed the AI difficulty. I try to find the words to come out of my mouth. I haven't changed the AI difficulty from 80 to 90 just yet. I'd forgotten to do that. I meant to do it for this race, but it will be done for the next Grand Prix, and we'll see where we stand at that point. But now the lights are actually on, and the circuit is officially under dark. Huge improvements graphically. In terms of realism, I wouldn't even say aesthetically. I think this track probably looks better 2018 and before of a nighttime, but it doesn't look as real. That haze, that light pollution, even without ray tracing, looks very good in this year's game. And of course, last year's is when we first saw that. So yeah, we're jumping into our lap now quite late in the session. We'd already set a banker time, and to be honest, we didn't set any ridiculously quick times. They were all quite consistent, and I was usually a tenth down or a couple of tenths down on the previous lap. As you can see now, I'm 2 tenths down, because there were certain parts of the track where I was finding time, others where I was losing it again. Just like there, we gained 2 tenths in the space of a corner or two. So was really very much a yo-yo, and it was just kind of crossing my fingers that when I crossed the line, I'd found a couple of tenths somewhere and kept it. And I probably could have swung that wider to get the car straight earlier and power out of that corner. Probably would have gained me a bit more time, as again, we're now 2 tenths down on that previous time. So fluctuating in a matter of like 4 tenths, really, 2 tenths either side of that 0 delta mark. I don't know where we're going to end up. We're in P8 at the moment, which is pretty good. It's still early in the session. I'm sure everyone's going to go out for a final lap that they'll set late in the session, usually crossing the line with only a few seconds to go and setting that time after the end of the qualifying session. So we're 2.5 tenths up now. Obviously a red first sector there. That was marginal though. Getting a green second sector and overall up about 2 tenths as we cross the line. It's not bad. It's not bad. We're going to go for pretty much a 129 flat. And I don't really know how that compares to the rest of the times, to be honest, but we do finish P7, so we're best of the rest, just edging out Daniel Ricciardo there, and, you know, only a couple of tenths off a Mercedes too, so Max Verstappen flying a whole second quicker than us there, though, and Jack Aitken, our teammate, down in 19th, so I don't know, the car feels quite good, but I do think it's a little bit too easy, given where we are on the
stage is set for another enthralling race here in the Kingdom of Bahrain. I think a Ferrari stronghold in the years gone by, but will they be able to add to their record today?
To be the best of the rest, though I'd like to do that with the difficulty a bit higher, because I feel like we're doing that a little bit too easily
returns
right now.
To the desert today on this exceptional 3.36 mile circuit.
Not good enough. It's just not good enough to be where
corners
we're
provide plenty of overtaking opportunities.
So I just wanted to explain that.
It could be a strategic race this one, with Sakir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix.
As I was saying before, it's actually one that you have to get right, just like Suzuka. You got to get the S's right. You got to get that flow right, otherwise you can mess it up. So, yeah, I think we did pretty good given what we've got. We're obviously going to take on an extra lap of fuel, something I like to do just so that we can run in rich for a little bit longer. But the lights will begin to come on, and we are set to get away here at the Bahrain Grand Prix with 5 lights. Out and away we go. That one was a little bit delayed, more than I was expecting. Fairly shocking start, in truth. We get the jump. Well, we're getting jumped, by Ricciardo, and Sainz almost had a run on us, but we managed to brake a little bit later, find some space on the outside that then turns into the inside, and we get in front of Vettel. You can see him in the mirror there, but because we were pinched on that inside, we couldn't get the power down, and he's going to come around and overtake us. And we're actually under pressure now from Daniel Ricciardo as we squeeze him to the inside, try and force him to take a super defensive tight line and make the undercut. As we do there, though, we did bump him, and we take a slight bit of damage to the front wing, though not enough to cause a problem. As we can see now, a replay. We're at the middle of your screen there, behind the Red Bull. Terrible. We got away later. Daniel Ricciardo pretty much gets the jump on us well before the corner. And it's just fortunate that we're able to find some room around the outside and actually make a move on Vettel as we see some front wing flying around. It looks like an Alpha Tauri. Tauri? Yeah, the right end plate there of whoever that was. I don't know which driver. I couldn't quite see. But we pick up now where we left off. We're in a bit of no man's land at the moment, still where we were, best of the rest, but not quite enough to compete with the front runners. And we've got a bit of space in front, not so much behind just yet, but again, of course, as I say, cold tyres for the AI is not as much of a thing as it is for the user. And again, I should have just been swinging that wide, watching it back, mentally making some amendments to how I should approach the racing line, and something we'll definitely take the next time that we head here. But we're just trying to warm tyres, get temperatures, get things moving, get into a rhythm, and we'll see where we stack up, whether we're going to end up in the clutches of the cars behind, or whether we're going to be able to close the gap in front, or whether they just both respectively fall away and we end up in that same sort of limbo position that we did last race, where there's plenty of time ahead and behind before the safety car at least. But it looks like that may not be the case here. We're starting to pull away from Daniel Ricciardo, and well, Vettel got the jump on us there, but before the corner, he wasn't as far away, though the delta is coming down, or it was at least. But the AI seemed to be braking quite early for that corner when they're in a train. We closed about 3 or 4 tenths in that corner alone, which was a bit intense, but Danny Rick, he seems to be falling off, so I think we're going to pull away from him, and if we can stay within the 1 second range of the cars ahead, when we get DRS, we should be able to pull away from the train behind and secure ourselves a decent showing in the points as we set a purple first sector. And I know it's only the second lap, but the fact that the cars ahead didn't set one faster says a lot about the time that we gained. Danny Rick's falling further and further behind, almost 1.5 seconds here. But we skip to lap 4 because nothing really happened except for exactly what I told you would. We got the DRS, we kept with the cars in front. You know, we're still in the clutches, 3/10 back of Vettel, or he's in our clutches rather. And Danny Rick, 4.5 seconds behind. Raikkonen, another couple of seconds, or another chunk of time behind him. I think we're pretty safe up here. We should get a decent display of points as we brake late and send it up the inside. Beautiful move, beautiful control, beautiful finesse. We force Vettel to give us the room, and we get that position done nicely, and we claim the DRS because we were still behind him at the detection point. So, I was relatively happy with that, to be honest. I really didn't think it was on because we are pitting this lap. I thought maybe I'd just settle in behind, get into the pit stops, try and play an undercut or something like that, but no. And coming ahead now, we seem to be pulling away from Vettel. I don't know what happened there, but we seem to get a decent jump on him, and maybe his line was wrong coming out of the corner or something, and I don't know. But, I also thought that the cars ahead might pull away, but they just haven't. Verstappen has. You can see him on the minimap, or as when it comes, there you go. You can see he's a little while ahead of Leclerc there at the front, but we're in a train and we're definitely competing and holding our own, which is something we should not be doing. It's definitely way too easy right now, but I'm taking the points while we can get them because late in the championship, that might be very vital. And who knows? I mean, if it secures a bit of extra money and it makes the racing even more fun to make the car even better from here on out, I'm happy to do a couple of races where we're finding our feet and just claim those points early. But we are coming to the pits this lap, changing from the softs to the mediums. It's going to be interesting to see whether the cars around us are going to follow us in or if they're going to come in later or what's going to happen, what's going to unfold. But we are the only ones diving in. And I don't know why. We followed the game strategy. We didn't amend anything. A slightly slower pit entry, but I tend to be quite tentative here because you just can't really see the line and it gives you the warning very late, so you don't get enough time to react to it. So I thought I'd overslow, but some of the midfield are following us in. Not all of them. It looks like the lead drivers of the midfield teams are coming in. So front runners going with a different strategy. Perhaps their tyre wear is just a little bit better and they're able to take those soft tyres another lap or two, which may or may not be a good thing. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it all pans out. But down in 18th now with Ricciardo, Sainz, and another car that is a mystery behind us. But the next lap now coming down the straight, the rest of the midfield tends to pit. And I think we've got, Vettel did pit, so did Hamilton. And it's going to be interesting if we can jump ahead of him. We were ahead of Vettel, but we've run it wide. I don't know what I was doing there. I think I was too focused on watching the cars on the inside. Sent it wide, and we lost the position to Vettel, but Hamilton ran wide there. And that was a bit interesting. He's not moving, and he is out of the session. I'm not going to lie, I was quite happy. I thought, damn it, I've wrecked it. I lost my top 6 position, but we kept it. We did keep it through a Hamilton retirement, not an overtake. I thought he just ran wide or something. He and Vettel clashed. But a nice little bit of Tokyo drift going, and we are now back inside a net top 6. Right now, it's not looking like that. Vettel's still quite a way ahead. Magnussen now and all the rest of them will populate that real-time section as they pit, and we get ahead of them. And then the AI have a little bit of a run in here as Vettel catches up to the back of Albon and Leclerc. They have a bit of a squabble, and I was hoping that would bring me back into their clutches, but it doesn't look like that's the case. They're still 1.5 seconds away, and I wasn't able to close that DRS gap. Still almost 6 seconds ahead of Ricciardo now. Stroll finally pits, and we take 5th place because of the retirement for Hamilton there. And it looks like there's been another issue because we were P6, and then we lost that position. So I wonder what's happened. I wonder which of the top teams have lost another driver, because we should be P6 with that Hamilton retirement. Nevertheless, I'll take it. That's another couple of points that we can add to the tally for both Constructors and the Drivers' Championships, because we also, whilst the Constructors one is the one that earns us all the money, we want to finish as high as we can in the Drivers as well, so that we can just really make a statement and say that, we're an owner-driver, it's the first team in F1, first year rather, but we're here to actually play the game and not just make up the numbers. But You can see 5.5 seconds off Albon now on the last lap, 5.5 seconds ahead of Ricciardo, and we come home in 5th place. I'm happy with that. I think it's a decent showing. I got a little bit nervous when it showed 7th on the screen there in the actual race, but you can see the podium, both Ferraris and Max Verstappen, who somehow wrecked his lead. He was quite a way ahead. I wonder what happened to that, but he finishes in 3rd place. Charles Leclerc taking the win. Ferrari look very, very strong. It seems they haven't had the nerfing that they should have, and that the FIA actually imposed upon them in real life, as the screen gets covered in champagne. Coming up and having a look at the final standings here, we finish in 5th place, and Jack Aitken, he didn't retire, so we have completed that objective, and we will get that little bit of money, which isn't huge, but it counts. It always counts, every little bit, especially when we've spent all of our money. It does count. Down in 19th place. Interestingly, Bottas was behind us, so he must have had an issue or broken some front wing or something. I'm not sure. He did only make the one stop. I'm not really sure what happened there, but you can see we're 8th in the Drivers' Championship, which is good, and we're only 4 points off 4th place there, Daniel Kvyat and Max Verstappen. So, you know, we'll see what happens once we up this difficulty, where we fall behind or not. And our teammate down there in 21st, he's not last. Hopefully he can jump the Williams. He may never get points, but you know, race wins and race position is what counts there. As you can see, 7th place. Again, 4 points behind 4th place in the Constructors' Championship. So that's been the race today. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. I love this track. As I say, we're heading to Vietnam in the next race, which I hate. I hate that track. Never really properly driven it, but I really don't like it. Please be sure to subscribe so that you can see that. I'm probably going to hit a wall, but like the video if you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.